So here's the pond. I thought I'd do a brief walk tour, and this video is all about to give you an indication how much this cost to build. So essentially we've got polycarbonate roof on there. Obviously we've got a wetland filter here designed to have different layers of aggregates, which is stone, to filter the pond. It's not a bog filter. At that end we've got sponges and various ornaments and a Cottony Coy skimmer there with a guard over the top. We have a retro bottom drain, as you can see in there, and that's essentially what we have in the pond. Obviously we've got some a floating plant basket there from Maidenhead Aquatics, and obviously in the wetland filter itself lots of different types of plants to help filter the pond, and obviously the sponges in there which will filter the pond. And obviously, as I've said in previous videos, we've got some nice ornaments here, which you can get from BM, and the dragon is off eBay. And I got that metal stainless steel lantern off from Morrison's, believe it or not, only for 20 quid, because it was end of season. So essentially that's the pond. Polycarbonate roof, obviously slopes, about 10-inch slope on there, and on the other side, I'll just show you the other side. We have a guttering system running along the length of the pond as well as on the garage, and it just feeds into the garage guttering, which essentially flows into a little drain that I built here, which goes under the ground over here into a little soakaway that I built. Obviously you can see there. So that's the pond itself. Let's have a look at the rear of the pond, because you want to see how it all works at the back. So I built a little cupboard out of sleepers here, and obviously we have a ball valve here to release water from the filter, which runs through this pipe round here into a big soakaway that's here. So in the actual cupboard, I'll just open that up, we've got Aqua Evolution 25 watt UV. I've got a Pond One 20 watt pump, and there's some pipe work and the electrics in there. I put a gang, I think it's an 8-gang power lead in there that runs into the garage eventually. And obviously we've got a one-way valve that feeds the water into the actual filter itself, and another ball valve to control the flow, and lots of flexible PVC pipe that runs along eventually into the skimmer. And we've also got a ball valve there, because I've got two returns that run from the actual skimmer into the pond. So I'll just show you that. So we have a outlet there into the pond, and an outlet there into the pond, and obviously we've got some lily plants and rockery in the pond itself, and that's essentially the pond itself. To those of you who have watched a previous video regarding me using this, because some of you were a little bit critical saying how much of it did I use used enough for 3,000 litres, because this container was only half full. So if you felt I was using too much, and I apologise a little bit for that, because maybe that confused some of you, but there was only a quarter of a bottle used to filter this 3,000 litre pond. So essentially that's the pond, and I just wanted to talk you through it briefly. This video is all about how much did it cost. Right guys, so in order to go through the costs I'll have to go indoors and go through everything I've bought. But there is 2 pumps running, 2 Jaybo 5,500 litre per hour pumps, one for the filter box and one for the skimmer. And that's the majority of the pumps that I've got running, which are external, as you saw next to all that pipe work, next to the garage in that little corridor. Anyway, next I'll go through the costs and we'll get to that next. Right, I've just jumped into the house and I printed out a list here to go off regarding what I've spent, but I've spent a lot more than the bare minimum that I've got on this list, but I just wanted to give you a rough idea on what things will cost you. So if you're wondering how much my pond cost me to build, this gives you a rough idea. I probably spent a bit more than this because I've had to redo things, but this is just a general gist of what I've spent. So I got my sleepers from Yorkshire Sleepers, sawmail.co.uk, a local UK company in West Yorkshire, and basically it cost me £380 for 12 sleepers. Basically they're 10 centimetres thick by 2 metres. From Pond Aqua on eBay, pipe fittings, I spent about £200. PVC cement, got 2 tubs of that at £16. Aqua Evolution UV sterilizer, 25 watt, that cost me £96 from Aqua Evolution. I got 2 Jaybo 5,500 litre per hour pumps, 2 of them, £100. PVC pipe, 32mm flexible pipe, £40, 2 metre length. Retro bottom drain, £120 with the attachments. The polycarbonate was from a company called Bagger's Bargain, if you're wondering, off eBay. Polycarbonate roofing sheet, 16mm, 3 metre length, £90. From Bagger's Bargain again, polycarbonate fixing buttons, they cost me £30. Butter allocations on eBay again, Chinese Dragon from USA, £60, imported from USA obviously. From BM Store, got 2 times pagodas and small pagodas for the filter box, £25. That's just decoration obviously. Stainless steel lantern from Morrison's, £20, picked it up cheap. Water lilies from Magga Groves, 2010, off eBay, £75 for basically the baskets, the soil and all the plants for the filter box, that is. Jubilee clips, £60, stainless steel. It might seem expensive, but you need to buy quality ones, do not cheap out on these. I've bought cheap ones and they're totally crap, so make sure you buy stainless steel, high quality, heavy duty ones, okay? From Marine Buzz, no return valve for the filter box, which was £15. Codivision on eBay, Kotlikoy ball valves with hose tails, 4 of those for £76, again good quality ones. On eBay again, obviously from someone called Loken 1473, debris netting, 2 metre by 6 metre for £15. Spudaluka geotextile fleece fabric membrane soakaway fabric, £40. I probably spent an extra £40 as well getting some more. That's basically to protect the liner when I put it down. Things for craft, nuts and bolts, stainless steel, about £30 for them as well. Basically bolts, nuts and bolts, and those long pieces of, well, basically long bolts to make sure it goes through the wood of the actual roof and tighten them up. But make sure you do get stainless steel nuts and bolts. Do not get galvanized ones. Do not get cheap zinc ones. You must get stainless steel because that won't rust. Sleeper screws from Massive Attack 007. I got 150mm and 250mm cut screws. So those got screwed into the sleepers. That cost me £50. 3-stage fish pond dechlorinator for aquariums and water purifier from Veillard directly from their eBay shop, £40. Leomax electric water float. That's if the water drops to a low level, it'll cut all the electrics off. That was just £6 off eBay from Leomax. £70 on pond plants for the filter box off eBay again. For the Japanese matting and sponges and brushes, around £130. Japanese matting is expensive at the moment, so just keep that in mind. Wood for building the filter box from B&Q, around £100 to build the filter box that I've done for the wetland filter. Wood for the roof from Wicks. I would highly recommend, if you buy your wood, get it from Wicks, even if you mail order it. It's the cheapest really that I think is out there really. If you consider all the various wood merchants you can go to, or even B&Q, that Wickes does in general tend to work out the cheapest of all. So obviously that's more or less the wood. So the wood for the roof cost me £200 from Wickes. Wood for the capping wood on top of the pond that goes around the top of the sleepers. Again, I spent about £100 on that. Flashing from Wickes, that's the white stuff that goes all the way around to the top of the roof. That was about £40. Wood preservers, that cost me about £80. I got some of that coronal stuff as well as the standard wood preserver. It's important to have wood preserver on your wood, but do consider sanding down the wood preserver that's on the wood, just so none of it leaks into your pond. So that's something you need to do. You just need it to soak into the wood, but then sand it off so no residue goes into the pond. So the Firestone liner, which was their budget one, which was 0.8mm, not the 1mm, because that's expensive, the Firestone liner is. This is the budget cheap version of it, was £179, and that was enough to cover my pond. Firestone Quick Prime, £30. That's basically the stuff I use to seal the folds. It's important you seal the folds, whether you use some sort of primer, adhesive, or some silicone to do it. Just seal those folds up as much as you can. The liner for the filter box would have cost me around £50, but I happen to have a little bit left over from the small pond, so I use that, but it would set you back about £50. Another company off eBay, Aquatic.uk, Owazi expanding foam cans, black, 2 times, £40 for them. It's important you get the black stuff, it's less visible than using the yellow stuff. I know the yellow stuff is cheaper, don't cheap out. The thing with the Owazi expanding foam, it expands slowly. The yellow stuff expands very quickly, and you don't have a lot of time to mould it if you're trying to mould something in. So my advice is always buy black expanding foam. It expands not as much as the yellow stuff, however it expands a lot slower, so you have time to mould it. A Cottony Koi skimmer wide mouth skimmer obviously cost me £50. The marine silicone that I buy off Amazon, it's only like, I think it's £9.86 a tube, something like that. So I spent approximately £60 on 6 tubes. Filter media and stones and aggregate cost me around £60. Basically I've got lots of different types of stones, Scottish pebbles, normal larger pebble rocks, and some lava rock in there as well. The guttering and the pipe for both the roof and the filter box from B&Q was around £100, so it's not expensive, that stuff. Foam to insulate the pond on the inside. You can obviously use Celotex if you want to, or you can use styrofoam. I use something called XPS foam. It's denser. It tends to be used in underground heating systems. I use that on the inside of the pond before putting the liner on, obviously. And it's not expensive. That cost me £40. The stainless steel spillway from a local engineering company, they did that for me. It took them 3 weeks to get it to me because they had to make it from scratch, and that cost me £50. So excluding any sort of redos that I've done on the pond, such as I had an issue with a leaking pipe that I had to redo, but I've not included that in this estimate. The grand total and this doesn't include the cost of the fish obviously coming in as well, and I think I only spent about £130 on the fish. Anyway, grand total is £2,963, so that's more or less what I've spent on building the pond in general. So the pond is probably around the £3,000 mark. You might think I've spent a lot of money there, and you could do it a bit cheaper probably, but remember, sleeper ponds are not that cheap to build, and then it's all the added extras that you're doing, such as the pipe work, the pipe fittings, the pumps. Obviously I'd got a retro bottom drain there for £120, which wasn't that cheap either. And polycarbonate, that's not cheap as well, because the 3 metre lengths that I've got, it was £90, but I've not included the delivery charge into this mix, which was about £30. And obviously you do have delivery charges on these things, such as wood and basic things off eBay. That you may have free postage, you may not have free postage. Generally on large items such as insulation sheets, wood, that sort of thing, you're going to have to pay a large charge on delivery. So factor that into your costs as well, not just the products, the actual delivery charges, unless you can pick it up yourself. One of the biggest problems with getting things delivered is insulation and wood. Generally your delivery charges on those things are quite high. This is why I chose Wickes, because their delivery charge is extremely reasonable. I think it was £15 delivery charge, which is really nice. But other firms, if you want like a medium quantity of wood, you're probably looking at a £50 delivery charge. A lot of these, these merchants, these building companies will charge you a delivery charge fee, unfortunately. So keep that in mind when you're thinking of obviously trying to order wood or a large amount of insulation, that you will have obviously those costs to consider. So essentially that's the gist of it. Certainly not the £1,000 I thought it originally would cost me to start off with. I just wanted to do a breakdown of what I've spent, because I know one of my subscribers was asking about where I got the actual polycarbonate. If you're wondering, it's on eBay. The company's called Bagger Bargain. I think it worked out at £88 and some change in the end, but then there was £20 delivery charge on top of that. But I just wanted to give you a gist of what I've spent on a pond which is only about 1 metre deep by 2 metres and a little bit in length, and 1.5 metres in width, and the amount of water in there is around 2,800 litres. When you include the water in the box filter, it's around the 3,000 litre-ish in terms of water volume. It's not a massive pond by any means. There's a lot of people got bigger ponds. But I just wanted to give you a gist of what I've actually spent, and then you've got an idea of, in your mind, what will your pond cost you? Is yours going to be a bit bigger? You know, put some comments in the comments box. Let me know what size your pond is, how much you think it costs you. It'd be really interesting, I think, for people in the comments box to know how much you spent on your pond. And a big thank you for coming to this video and listening to me ramble on, going through all the costs on what I spent. You know, it certainly cost more than I expected. Have I probably spent more money on certain things that I didn't need to spend, like the Chinese dragon from USA? It cost £60. Probably not, but I thought it'd be a nice thing to have. So that's it really. Big thank you for coming to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like the video if you can, would appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one, and hope this was informative. Those of you who are wondering about my giveaway in regards to the koi food, I will be announcing the winner in the next day or so. So look out for that video. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day.